All right. Welcome back to the Forest Brothers podcast. It's your boy, Mutsa Chris Don, back in the cut, joined by my two brothers, Nkosi and Samson. What's good, brothers? What's good? So, my fellow listeners, in this particular episode, we'll be talking about Mo Salah and the fallout he's had with Liverpool. This past weekend, we saw Liverpool draw 3-3 with Leeds. And yeah, we thought that was it. We thought, Liverpool, how could you? Because they were winning that game. Actually, two goals. Hugo Ekitike scored 2 goals. I think right after the first half finished, and Leeds managed to get the game up to 3-3. In fact, they almost won it at the end. They could have actually won it, but So I think that's Liverpool's fourth draw or like second draw in a row, and yeah, so it's not been going well for them. And Mo Salah was dropped again, third consecutive game where he was on the bench. And for this game against Leeds, he didn't even come on the pitch. And the boy had a few things to get off his chest about that. He was not very happy, and he had a bombshell interview about it with some reporters telling us all about how he feels and how things basically have broken down between him and Slot, and how he feels betrayed and let down and thrown under the bus by the club. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about that today and just dissecting this interview and what Salah said and potentially what might happen and who's right. In fact, before we even start, like, what are you guys' thoughts about the situation right now? Like, was it shocking to you that Salah would come out and already be throwing his toys at the pram after being let down for 3 games? Like, he hasn't had the best form this season. Was it a shock for you guys? I can start with you, Samson. Was it a shock to see Salah on the bench again against a team like Leeds, and the fact that he wasn't even brought on for the game at any point to help them win? Because I did see a report that said Slot thought tactics, when Liverpool was 3-2 up, he brought on Endo instead of Salah because it was like, I want to protect the lead, finish out the game, instead of, want to go out there and win the game. He wants to protect the game against Leeds, a recently promoted side. And he said it was a tactical decision. Do you believe that? Or anyway, what are just your overall thoughts about all this?
Well, he put on Isak. He sent Isak in the same sub. So, but yeah, I thought actually it was Kazak. Actually. But yeah, I thought Mo Salah had a bit of a point because we've spoken about it, that something needed to change in terms of like the lineup and personnel. I applaud Slot for that because, I think something drastic needed to happen, like benching Mo Salah. But I also understand Mo Salah's point of view because, we talk about, what the job of a coach is, and it's the coach's job to figure out how to get your best players on the pitch and performing. Mo Salah is still probably your best player. Like, I don't know if we can. Maybe Ekitike is the best player now, but Mo Salah is at least top 2 in the club. Like he's not just some guy. So no matter how Liverpool fans want to frame it, or the club or Slot, it is a failure on you as a coach that you can't get Mo Salah on the pitch to impact games. Yes, it's on him a little, but you're also failing. And yeah, I think Mo Salah has a point to call them out and say something.
Yeah. So actually, let me say let me give a breakdown, a quote of what he said. So Mo Salah's words were, "I'm sitting on the bench for 90 minutes. I think that's the third time I'm on the bench. I think it's the first time in my career, but I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed, to be fair. I've done so much for this club. Everybody can see that during the years, and especially last season." So, Mangoro, with that quote, should a player feel entitled to not be on the bench if they've had a previous good season? Does what Salah say here, is it fair? Or do you think he's being too entitled? He feels like maybe he's above the program, feeling like he shouldn't be sitting out. What do you think about that first part?
So basically my take on that is he is being entitled. Fine, he's delivered for the club, but then like it's showing some sort of entitlement because no player is bigger than the club at the end of the day. Because when we look at it now, you look at it this season, Slot gave him an opportunity, gave him 10 games. He was like, play. And what did he do? He scored maybe 1 or 2 goals. So it's like, I need to try something else. So it's just not working with them. And at least, okay, I think the other thing with forced lots is like, okay, last season, you didn't have to defend because on the counter, and when you got the ball and you were attacking, you're putting up the numbers. But this season, the counters, like actually getting us the goals, you're not doing that. You're also not defending. So what benefit are you bringing to the team? If you're bringing no benefit, it doesn't add any value. So to me, it does feel entitled. And what I do also want to add is that whole aspect of now, say for example, he's come out with these quotes, which I've mentioned Liverpool quotes for years now. It's very interesting that they're now coming to the fruition, to the forefront. Is with these quotes and all of the stuff that's happening in and around him, the interesting part about this whole thing, in my opinion, like the most interesting part about this whole thing is the fact that when you look at like him as a player, you look at the club and what he's done for them, and you look at him this season, if now next game against Brighton, Slot throws him on and then he doesn't do anything, will it be justified? Because now you've come out to the media and you've done all these things. They throw you the next game, you complain you're not playing. Now they put you on the field, they put you on the right wing, and then you don't deliver. Is the manager essentially you prove the manager right, but you won't even have to say anything. He'll just put you on the field and then you'll just showcase to the world that you just start delivering anymore.
And what if he bangs? Then that makes Slot look bad. Does Slot and the club want that? To where it's like him, like, you see, look at them. When I play, we win. You know, would that be? I don't know if that would be a positive message. It sounds like it's a lose-lose situation either way.
Exactly, because when you look at it, it's in terms of like, if he bangs, the manager looks bad. If he doesn't bang, the manager looks right. So now you've created a rift between two important entities within the team. Because I hear that FSG called a meeting to discuss the situation and what they need to do with it because it just can't continue. What does that do for the 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 dynamics within the dressing room? Like now there's going to be factions. Maybe there's a Salah faction, there's a Slot faction. I know some people coming for Kodik back Gakpo. It's like, why does he keep on playing when he's giving them nothing? But then since he's Slot's boy, he's going to be in the Slot faction. And then now you've divided the dressing room in the middle. I don't know if like you can come back from that because once you divide the dressing room, it's low key an early stage of losing the dressing room. I don't know if Slot is there at this point.
Oh yeah, so going down with the interview, Mo Salah then ends up saying, sitting on the bench, I don't know why. It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That's how I feel. I think it's very clear that someone wants me to get all the blame. The club promised me in the summer for a lot of promises and nothing so far. I'm on the bench 3 games. So this is Salah technically throwing Slot under the bus because he's saying that as he said himself, I think it's very clear that someone wants me to get all the blame. Who's that someone that Mo Salah's talking about? I assume it's Slot. What do you think? Sangi? I mean, to me, it's like, it's beef. It's all beef at this point,
Right.
you know? There's some Biggie Tupac things.
I mean, I think I'm not sure if you've gone to that part, but he does go on to say he doesn't have he had a relationship with the manager. He doesn't have one anymore. And then the reporter also asked him directly, like, did you know you're going to be benched? And he's like, yes, Swat told me I'm going to be on the bench. And he knows my feelings. So like, yeah, there is beef. And this is why I understand Mo Salah, because I think we have to remember the mind of a footballer is egotistical in nature. Like, to be at that level, you need ego. You need to believe that you are the best player. And I think in this interview, multiple times he references the fact that he won the Premier League last season. He was the leading man. He was the star man. He references that a lot because he feels like he has to remind people, like, hey, by the way, I was the best player not just for my team, in the league. I was the best player. I scored the most goals. I had the most goal contributions. It was me. I did everything. So how is it that like 5 months later, it's all my fault, And I think I get it because we've spoken about Slot's team selection, um, their build-up, their defending, individual mistakes from players, poor performances from certain players. It's not just Mo Salah who's been bad. It's really the whole team. So the fact that he's the one that gets benched, he's the one that is being told, actually, Mo, but we're going to try something different. And you're the one we're going to sacrifice. I thought he might get benched eventually, but I just figured that, someone else would get benched first. I thought Gakpo would see the bench first. Silly me, I thought Verts, Isak, guys who haven't been here that long, who don't have as great a relationship with the rest of the teammates, they might see the bench first. But it's him. And again, if you look into what he's saying, I don't think it's just the benching and the conversation with Slot. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's the pressure of when things go wrong, it's Mo's fault. And I think that's what he's most saddened by, and that's why he feels like he's being personally attacked. Because I think there was a similar thing a few years ago when he was having trouble with his contract, right? And we didn't know whether he was going to sign on or not. And at the same time, Liverpool had like a run of like bad results, and people are like, "Oh, it's just Mo. It's Mo's contract. It's overshadowing things." That's what Liverpool, and it's like instead of dealing with the actual problems on the pitch, because not every Liverpool goal conceded is because Salah didn't run back. It's a small percentage of goals that are actually like that. So yeah, I kind of get like it feels like people are ignoring the very obvious elephants in the room, and they're going for Mo Salah because they feel he's an easier target, which I don't really get. But yeah, he has spunk it up too. So
But
Wait, I just have a follow-up question, Mangoro. I mean, and you can maybe answer this. In that quotation, he does say that someone wants me to get all the blame. So why would Slot want Mo Salah to be the one that carries all the blame for Liverpool's poor run of form? Like, why does he believe that Slot wants to put the blame on Salah?
it's I'd say it's a sort of like a man management kind of situation where like you want to show to your star player that there's none bigger than the program. So you put the blame on him and you put him outside. The crazy part, which is the point I was trying to get at, is you've put him out. It's not like you're winning games anymore. Nothing has changed. All you've changed is putting Salah on the bench and Konate getting worse. I don't know how those two are correlated, but like that's what's happened. You're not winning games. The defending is getting worse by the week. You're chopping and changing your fullbacks. Some are in Ghana partying it up. So there's just a lot going on, like at the club, where you never know exactly like who is to blame and who is the true culprit. Because like to be honest with you, and you look at it properly, like Salah has a part to play in this. Slot has a part to play in this, but none of them will realize that we're both equally to blame because he's taken him out, nothing has improved. He brings him back in. It's not like he's going to give him anything because his mind is not there. Like if your mind is not there, like you're not going to give 100%. So with him, that's why I worry with like him, Salah. Like, and then now the issue is now it could create a divide. Like he could become like a poison chalice in the dressing room. Now it could be influencing other senior players. It's like, hey guys, some of us have been here for 7 years. We did things a certain way and it worked. This guy, he came in, he didn't do much. He just took over from Klopp. And then now senior players like your Van Dijks and so forth would be like, oh, actually Mo's right. We were here before this guy, and this guy is not doing this. So it's a very difficult position that I think he has to sort of manage going forward.
Yeah. The other thing I wanna say here as well in that last quote before we move on to like other parts of the interview that he said, which will also like bring to light all the things you guys are saying. Mo Salah feels like he was promised things in the summer by the club. He said they made a lot of promises, and so far, none of those promises have been
Delivered.
yeah, been delivered exactly. So, was the promise that with Isak and Verts coming in, Salah's minutes would not be impacted? Do you think that's one of the promises he was given? Like, don't worry, Salah, no matter what, your position on the field is solid. Don't worry about Isak. Don't worry about Verts. I don't know if you had to worry about Chiesa before Chiesa was already there. I'm wondering, like, what are some of these promises do you think that were made to Mo Salah that have not been kept? Is it the benching thing and the time on the pitch thing, or are there other promises that we might not know about that maybe, I don't know, like Samson, what are your thoughts? Or maybe I can start with you, of course, then go to Samson.
Real quick, I think the two major ones is definitely game time. I think that was like the biggest one because like the last 3 games he hasn't played. Now he's come out in an interview. So it's definitely related to game time. The second thing I want to mention is related to game time is how the squad is going to be molded around him. And it seems like now the squad is being molded around people like Verts. Now you're seeing people like Szoboszlai move to different positions to have like Verts be like the focal point or one of the strikers to be the focal point. Whereas last season, everything was funneled through him. I don't know if they've gotten a penalty this season and then who's taken it, because that also could be another contentious point within the team right now.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna get onto this as we discuss other parts, but yeah, I think Verts, I think he didn't mention him by name, but if you read between the lines in this interview, you have a sense that he's really not happy with the new signings. Like he's not happy, and I don't think he has an issue with Isak. I don't think it is an issue with Ekitike. I think it's Verts, and especially if you look at the way Verts plays and what kind of runs or what kind of positions Verts needs his teammates to take up. Because I think we spoke about this earlier in the season that Verts is a kind of player, he's a playmaker. So ideally, he gets the ball at his feet, drops into midfield, into these gaps. And ideally, people run in front of him, right, to get into positions, create the space for him so he can dribble, so he can get into place, so he can pass. He needs runners. Whereas what does Mo need? The exact same thing. Because if you think of Mo's game, he's also a playmaker, really. He gets the ball at his feet, typically gets it early so he can size up a fullback 1v1 before any help comes. And he needs runners. He needs the striker to make runs. He needs midfielders to make runs. He needs his fullback to make runs. And that just doesn't happen anymore because there's another guy on the pitch who needs all that for him. So I think that's really, if you really think about it, I think that's who he's really not happy with.
Which makes sense because before they brought on Ekitike, Isak, Verts, Salah was the main man. Like any attack, get the ball to Salah, Salah make something happen. Salah could do whatever he wanted actually at the top there. Like he could attack from the right, attack from the middle, like chop in, get inside or cross in, whip it, whatever. But Salah could decide what he wants to do. Now he can't do that, right? Either he has to cut back to Ekitike, cut back to Isak, cut back to Verts, and we've also seen throughout the season, those first 10 games, Salah has never been that close to the touchline before. Brother is hugging touchline like he's never hugged it before. So I think that's a very different game that he's not used to. And I think that's probably Slot telling him, like, my guy, listen, that's what you're supposed to be. Hug that touchline. What you used to do before? Yeah, last season, a lot of things was happening, but now we've got more structure. We've got more structure. And I mean, maybe Slot is feeling pressure from all the money Liverpool spent in the window, like bringing all these heavy guys in, and they're under pressure to deliver. Like, the world is waiting for Verts to deliver. The world is waiting for Isak to deliver, Ekitike to deliver. So, Mo Salah delivering or Mo Salah banging is probably like, oh, why do we need these guys then? It's like if Salah was still banging, why do we need to buy? It just doesn't justify the 500 million that was spent. So I think maybe that's probably the big one. But then, they probably promised him like, don't worry, Salah, don't worry. Yeah, we've made these signings, but they're really just for you. They're really for you to get better. And, Slot had other intentions. Because he does go on to say, Mo Salah, so I can't say they keep the promise. I said that many times before. I had a good relationship with the manager, and all of a sudden, we don't have a relationship. I don't know why. It seems to me, how I see it, that someone doesn't want me in the club. So Salah feels like Slot doesn't want him in Liverpool anymore. And again, I wonder why that is. You know, if Salah was his main man last season, is a Slot maybe not wanting him anymore? Or is he maybe talking about someone else higher up who feels like they have to justify this 500 million and Salah is not dead weight?
I mean, whenever that kind of money is spent, there's going to be a lot of people upstairs with opinions. Because I will draw comparisons. There's another club in the northwest of England with a worldwide fan base that signed an aging star for a Dutch manager and signed other stars to play with that aging star, and things went poorly. I'm sure you remember him very well. He plays in Saudi Arabia now, you know. And where is Mo Salah linked to if he leaves Liverpool? Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm just drawing connections here, you know. That club I'm talking about has American owners. This club, American owners. That club has relationships with Saudi Arabian clubs. This club recently announced relationships with the Saudi clubs. Coincidence? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
What I do want to add, which I found to be very surprising, I don't know if I think we're going to get to it later on, was when he mentioned that he's told his family to show up to the game against Brighton. He doesn't know what's going to happen next. And to me, it's like, are you low-key forcing the club's decision to get rid of you? Because like it was like, I'm going to show up to the game, I'm going to have a good time, whether I'm on the bench or not. So I found that to be also very interesting, like where someone says, I'm on the bench, but I'm going to have a good time. So is it going to bring like a little beverage or a little Sudoku and play on the bench there and to keep himself occupied because he knows he's not going to come on? So it's just going to be very interesting to see how like it pans out, because I think even in the game, this past game against Leeds, like he went to the crowd and he started saying goodbye. Like that to me was kind of strange in that regard. Like I'm like, bruh, like that thing has been announced. You're already going to the crowd and you're clapping, like you're already on your way out. That kind of like did leave like a sour taste in my mouth. I know I don't support Liverpool, but like I was like, as this is not a way if you're gonna be leaving the club, a way in which like you'd be going out. Like they should be a send off. It shouldn't be sour, but it seems like at Liverpool and under the Slot regime, that's generally the case, because we remember how it all panned out with Trent and all the murals that were defamed and the stuff that happened with them. So I guess with Salah as well, it's going to be the same.
I was going to say it's interesting you bring up Trent because Trent's form, if I recall correctly, did not really dip at first. What happened was it was announced that he had signed with Real Madrid, and then all of a sudden he was benched for like 3 games. Like it was like Bradley's just in now, and it's like okay. And he comes back, and I think he scores or assists. I forget what it is. And it's like you could tell, like, oh, this guy was fine. You know, he wasn't injured. It wasn't like they just benched him, like almost as like oh, you're with them now, we're benching you. So it felt. I mean, I can see Salah's, perspective from that angle because that felt vindictive. That felt like you're getting him back by not playing him. Maybe Salah's seeing the same thing because he also saw, he had the behind the scenes view to what was going on with Trent. So, who knows?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the quote that you're talking about, Mangoro and as you Samson, it's we'll see what's going to happen. But in my head, I'm going to enjoy that game if I play or not, if I'm on the bench or not, because I don't know what's going to happen now. I'm just going to be in Anfield, say goodbye to the fans, go to the Africa Cup of Nations because I don't know what's going to happen when I'm there. That's what that brother says. So that to me says that Mo Salah is being strategic with this interview. I don't think this just happened, right? Like the fact that Africa Cup of Nations is coming up, I'm pretty sure him and Slot had a conversation where Slot said, my boy, listen, I don't want you here. I'm trying to get you gone. January window's coming up. As soon as you go play AFCON, you're not coming back. So it is what it is, my boy. And Salah's like, you know what? I don't want to go out sad. I want to control the narrative and put it out there that like, yo, I'm not being benched because this benching that's happening right now is an unfair benching, and this is the reason why. But I want y'all to know that I love you guys. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna enjoy every time. You know what Africa Cup of Nations is here. Like if Africa Cup of Nations is not happening right now, I don't think Salah does this interview. I don't know how you guys think about that as well. Like, do you think this was a strategic move by Mo Salah, and he's using the Africa Cup of Nations as an excuse, or was he gonna do this interview regardless?
I think he's using it as an excuse. It's like you throw the fire and then you run away to AFCON and then you let them burn, essentially. Because when he's at AFCON, the Jamie Carragher won't be there asking him, where were you saying that? He'll be there with other reporters from Orange and all of these other companies, and then the Liverpool will have to be putting out statements. You saw the press officer that's standing next to him, like just cringing there every moment Salah said something. Because he knew that, oh my God, this is a PR nightmare. Like from the club's perspective, like there'll be serious discussions had about this. And for him, I don't blame him. Like he's the, what do you call this? The press officer. But then at the same time, it's like the club as a whole now needs to put out a statement showing a united front. Because if they don't, Carragher's going to come out tomorrow and say his thing. And then it's just going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse. And then, because the moment the club doesn't put out a statement, the speculation in the media is going to drive a lot of things. It's going to drive a lot of wedges between quite a number of key aspects within the club. Now the manager is going to be questioned as well.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it was also strategic because there's a point in this interview where he says something like, I knew from before. It says, you guys didn't know, but I knew from before. And it sounds like he's referring to the fact that he knew he was coming to do the interview. You know, he was telling them, you guys didn't know I was coming here, but I knew I was coming here. And he also goes on to say that he knew the day before that he wasn't going to play the following day. You know, my assessment, right? I think not coming on is really what sparked this. Because I think Mo Salah was okay, obviously upset with being benched, but fine with it. He was going to tolerate it. It's just that the fact that he didn't come on and he saw someone else come on, Isak come on, I think that set him off. Because I honestly think if he comes on and he plays like 15, 20 minutes, I don't think we hear from him, to be honest. I think it's that not coming, because I think whatever conversation they had, because, you know, you guys have seen Slot in his press conferences. He's always rationalizing things and like creating justifications for things. And like, he's a very thoughtful and considered person when he speaks to people, you know. We don't see the same kind of arrogance that we saw from like, Ten Hag or Amorim, where it's like, you can tell it's his way with the highway. Like, Slot seems like the kind of person who like loves to explain things. So I would bet that when Slot told Salah, you're going to be on the bench, he didn't tell him, I'm done with you. I think he told him, I'm trying something new. I'm trying to see what works. You know, I'm testing out these guys here and these. So Salah's probably going in thinking, you know what? You know, let's see how these guys do. And he's probably down the bench thinking, oh yeah, we're scoring. We're up. It's working. Yeah. And he's probably waiting to see, okay, how do I fit in this? Where do I come in? And to not come in at all, he's like, okay, I see what you're doing. I got something for you. Got something for you.
And he kind of does say that in the interview, because he then says, but I don't think I'm the problem. I have done so much for this club with the respect I want to get, and I don't have to go every day fighting for my position because I earn it. People will say, you are not bigger than the club. I am not bigger than anyone. I earn my position. This is football. It is what it is. So he's technically saying he is bigger than the club, or he's technically saying, like, listen, I put in my time. I deserve to be on the pitch. And what you're saying, Samson, about like, okay, you can bench me, but you gotta play me. Like, especially if you're trying to win, you gotta play me. I've earned that right. And I'm on his side on that one. because I mean he did prove his worth like last season and throughout all the years. Like he's Liverpool's highest goal scoring player, right? I don't know if it's of all time, but he's up there. So for me, it's like he's putting all these numbers.
I think the statistic is since he entered the Premier League, no one in the Premier League in that time has scored or assisted more goals than Mo Salah. He has the most goal contributions since he joined the Premier League, which is a hell of a defense, man. I have to say, like, if I'm defending myself and that's one of the things I get to say, it's fairly unimpeachable. Like, you know, what can you really say to the man? He's better than everyone.
Yeah,
the whole time he's been the best. It's a pretty solid defense.
It is, and then you can't argue against the numbers, right? And Slot, to me, seems like a man who cares about the numbers. So for me, it's like, okay, if I'm Mo, yes, it's been 3 games. It's probably not that deep, but at the end of the day, like, you should put me on the game. Like, especially if we're under pressure, you know, he's played against Leeds countless of times. He's scored against Leeds countless of times. So, you know, why trim like that? So I can understand why he feels like this shouldn't be happening to him. And people like Verts, people like Gakpo, people like Isak, Chiesa should be getting a better chance at proving themselves or proving their worth, you know, before Mo Salah can get to just feel like, yeah. But Mangoro, what do you think? Do you think Salah is bigger than the program, or do you think that, you know, Slot, this is a good thing that Slot's doing to say, hey, my man, listen, if I want you to set out for the next 5 games because I feel like it will help us, it is what it is. Even though all the stats are backing you, it don't matter.
In all honesty, there's no player bigger than the program. Same goes for the manager. He shouldn't be given a scapegoat in that regard. I think, and also the other thing that I think he looks at is, I think the biggest problem is actually Verts. Verts is the biggest problem because I think what Salah looks at is the person you're putting in my position, either to create or score, is doing nothing week in and week out, but you keep on playing him. But me, I've put up the numbers for you. I literally gave you a league title in your debut season. You decide that I'm not good enough now all of a sudden. Fine, I'm a year older, but I still can't deliver penalties. You decide that, no, I'm not worth it anymore. Because now, what then happens is, if you eliminate Verts, who's giving them nothing, and Gakpo, you can put Szoboszlai on the left or in the 10. You can bring Salah back on the right. I think that's his main argument. Because he's like, that's our system. That worked last season. And then you can put whoever on the left. Like, I think they even brought up that Luis Diaz as a player they miss quite a lot now, especially like through all this drama, because you can see Gakpo is doing nothing on the left. They've been calling for Chiesa as well, but Chiesa is more of a super sub. So that's what I mentioned. Their problem starts with Verts. Verts is like the main issue. Because if Verts was delivering, I think then Salah probably would be playing more and then you'd be scoring more. And then when you look at the strikers, that's another situation where you ask yourself, Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, what kind of recruitment was done over the summer? Where you bring in 2 first-team strikers for close to, one of them over 100 million and one close to 100 million. They both have to play now. So you kind of like break the balance of the team there where you're like, okay, where are these people going to play? So for me, like, it's kind of confusing in that regard. But when I go back to your original question of, is anyone bigger than the program? No one is bigger than the program. If be it you're a star player, you scored 100 goals. Look at Ronaldo. Ronaldo was a star player at United. Same thing at Real. No one is bigger than the club. When you retire, the club will still be there. So don't treat it as if it's your own property. If he feels like he's bigger than the program, he should go buy his own club, put Leighton Orient, and put himself on the right wing and do whatever he wants.
Exactly. So, and moving on with the interview, like he was asked if he's hurt by the situation and said he is very hurt. And then he goes on to say he knows the club too well and he's been here too many years. So tomorrow you're going to find Jamie Carragher is going to go for me again. That's fine. So he clearly knows that these Liverpool legends are going to talk smack about him. And, you know, I don't know what you guys think about this. I can put it to you, Samson, because we are going to hear from Jimmy Carragher, and Jimmy Carragher has been on Salah's case, as he is on many people's case, and Jimmy Carragher is very selective about who he blasts and who he doesn't blast. So the fact that Salah is already anticipating that Carragher is going to come out and talk a lot of smack about the situation, it's quite hilarious. What do you think is going to happen with Carragher and Salah? Like, do you think Carragher should take it upon himself to be a bit more sympathetic to Salah's situation, or do you fully expect Carragher to go all out and say, Salah, you're a menace. Salah, you're disrespecting the club. We don't need you. You're being a baby. Throwing Well, what are your expectations here? And why do you think Salah specifically called out Carragher?
Because I think Mo Salah, without saying it, is saying what pundits have been saying in the last few weeks, that if his name was Malcolm Salter, he wouldn't be getting this kind of coverage. And we kind of know that, intuitively, I think we all know that. We all know that Mo Salah gets the coverage he gets, because even this isn't the first time there's a media storm. I mentioned the contract situation, because he's had 2 different contract situations that have dragged out. Both times, who was the man at the scene of the crime? Jamie Carragher, So I think he has a point, because we know, we've seen this with other players. Only certain guys get that kind of stinging, career ruining type of treatment in the media. And we ask ourselves, Mutsa, I know you're a big fan of his, but I'll ask you, Philip Walter Foden, if he was in this situation, do you honestly believe the conversation would be the same? Because I do remember he was going through a thing, and the first story that popped up about any of his form or how the team was doing was his mental health. That was the first story that was put out. Whereas with Mo Salah, the first story that gets put out is he finished? Is he ruining the club? Is he paid too much? Is he a distraction? You know what I mean? So I see what he's doing there with that Jimmy Carragher comment, because I've seen this pattern a lot. The English media can be very xenophobic in the way it covers the league. And I think Mo Salah is hinting to that. And he's trying to preempt the strike, sort of call Jamie out beforehand, because he knows Jamie's going to do it. He's going to flame him tomorrow.
I was going to say, maybe you and Kosi, do you think Salah did this strategically to call out Jamie Carragher specifically? Because we know Jamie Carragher is going to say something, tomorrow, he knows he's going to say something. So Salah's like, okay, I know you're going to say something. What you going to say now? And, maybe I don't know if it's backing Carragher in a corner to then say something negative or say something positive, but Salah can then point to that and say, you see, I knew you're going to do that. I don't know. How do you think Carragher is going to play this out?
So what Salah's doing is very smart, in the sense that he's sort of preempting, he's lowering the blow before it comes, so that when it comes tomorrow, it's not as bad. It's anticipated. Because now, say for example, if he didn't play today they drew or lost, Carragher was gonna blame him for being on the even though he was on the bench. So he was gonna take the blame on him. But then at least now he's like, well, the club has done this to me. So now can you stop with your comments and things like that? And then maybe I think his anger, then I think he's trying to portray it in such a way that maybe Carragher can come out and say tomorrow, oh, I didn't know these things, Salah. So I would like to raise my right hand and say, I'm sorry that these things are happening to you. So that's why now he's going to come out tomorrow and then apologize to him. So I think he's trying to play it in such a way that the ball is in Carragher's court, and it's now up to Carragher to decide what's next.
I'm curious to see what will happen. I'm curious to see what will happen with that one. So moving on along here, he was asked, actually, we keep talking about Saudi Arabia. He was asked, you had the interest from Saudi Arabia. Is that still on the table? And the way he responded said, I don't want to answer this question now because the club is going to take me to a different direction. So I don't want to answer this one. What does that really mean? Like, does it mean like if he says, yeah, I am interested in Saudi, Liverpool be like, hey man, we're not sending you there. I'm curious, like, what do you think Salah meant by this, saying that the club is going to take him in a different direction if he answers about Saudi Arabia?
I think it goes back to him saying someone wants him out at the club. And because I think even this is not the first time he's being careful with his words. I think later on they ask him who, at the club is trying to get rid of you. Is it the sporting director? And he's like, no, don't put words in my mouth. And yeah, I think he's just trying to be careful because I think he understands that someone at the club or people at the club have a very close connection with the Liverpool-based media. So for those who don't know, just go look up, I believe his name is James Pierce on Twitter or X. Just go look up James Pierce and see what he's written about Mo Salah recently, and you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. The media uh, environment around Liverpool, I believe people at the club have strong relationships, which, it happens at all clubs. If you work for a media company, you get assigned a specific region, you go there, you talk to people at the club, the insiders, you develop a relationship, and you get close to them, then they feed you information over time. I think that's what Mo Salah's worried about. He's worried that whoever's trying to get him out, if he says the wrong thing at the wrong time, he could use those same journalists he's talking to spin whatever he said against him. Write hit pieces, in the media, write articles, whatever, that just forces him out. Because I don't think at the end of the day he would want to leave. I think the ideal situation for Mo Salah is that he finishes his contract. Then Liverpool decide, okay, we're not giving another one, or he decides he's leaving. I think that's the ideal situation. I don't think he wants to be sold. So I just thought he was just trying to protect himself there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see because he was. Where you guys already alluded to this around, like, was he about did he expect to be benched? And he was saying that, yeah, I did speak to Slot the day before the game, and Slot told him, yeah, my guy, you're not playing. And so he went in there knowing that he wasn't gonna play. He said he asked for an explanation. He did not get one. He was just told he's not gonna play, so he just took it and swallowed it. And he was like, all right, I'm just gonna come and go home. So it seems to me that by the time he was told by Slot, like, yeah, my guy, you're not playing, he was like, all right, I'm going to drop a bombshell interview. So it was predetermined. I think that just kind of confirms that this interview is strategic because, I don't think this just kind of happens. Like, we've never seen Mo Salah just, because while they interview a benched player, how does that even happen? Like, I kind of feel like he set it up.
Well,
So,
he walked towards them. Like, there's a press area, like in the tunnels after the game. The press had just, stood there waiting for people to come by and give the interviews. And typically it's the coach and one player, right? The team sends a player and the coach, they go. Or the coach might send the assistant or something. So that's usually the program. But anyone really can go to the media, right? When players have howlers, they voluntarily just go to the media and just speak about the howler they've just had. So he can go. He has every right to do it. So yeah, I think he walked up to them and he knew exactly what he was gonna say.
yeah. And I mean, you I guess you're right about all that because at the end of the day, Salah is saying, as we go down the interview, he does say that he wished he could retire at Liverpool. So I don't think he necessarily wants to be sold, but he feels like it's he's not gonna be able to retire at Liverpool. He said it's not according to the plan anymore. So I guess he has heard about that, as he's saying he's heard that he's not gonna be able to finish his career at Liverpool based off of what's happening now. So I guess it's now up to Liverpool to choose if they want Slot or if they want Salah. So I don't know.
I think the other thing that we're not taking into consideration here, which is actually quite an important thing, just going back to what the club doesn't want him, that maybe could stretch beyond the manager, is let's keep in mind he was given a two-year contract for a lot of money to stay. And it's now that whole situation of we gave you all this money now since you have the contract. That's why you're not performing. Something you know about this, like with Arsenal players, like Arsenal players would perform very well. Like I think Aubameyang and them, like they perform very well, get a new contract, and then just go on a decline. So I think that's the thing that the club is also looking at. It's like how, but we gave you the contract you asked for. Now can we see the goals? And it seems like that's just not coming.
Yeah. But yeah, once again, I go back to that whole uh part where he says, I've earned it. You know, he's talking about he doesn't think he necessarily has to fight for his place because he's earned it. And again, I will stand Mo Salah's side of this because again, if you look back at his record at Liverpool, you know, we're talking about Ekitike having a great start, right, to his Liverpool career. He's scored a few goals. I think he's up to like 8 all competitions. Mo Salah had 44 goals and 18 assists in all competitions his first year. And ever since then, he's averaged about 25 and like 12 the entire time. So if in year 8 or year 9, is it 8? I think it's 8. If in year 8, he's a little slow to start with and the team in general is bad, I don't know. I feel like, you know, you can't be that quick to be like, because I wouldn't compare him to Aubameyang. Aubameyang, he just didn't put up numbers like that. Not to the same level, I don't think. He was definitely good, but Mo Salah, I feel what he's done for this club. Because if you put his numbers side by side with other players in that period, it's like he's not even on the same team. It's like he's playing for a different league. You know, like it's just outrageous numbers. So I kind of just see it. And I think that's his grab. Like, you know, you have all this smoke for me, but all these other guys who are not delivering, you know, there's no smoke for them. And I get it. I get it.
Nah, for real. So like, because that's we've talked about most of the stuff that they said in the interview. So my question now is, what is the path forward here? What is the best way for Liverpool and for Mo Salah to move forward in this situation? Actually, like, what do you guys think is the best way for this story to close out? Like, is it Mo Salah leaving? Is because he said even in this interview that him and Slot, there's no more talking to be done. You know, it's pretty much a wrap. Like, they're not gonna talk anymore. They've already done all the talking that they need to talk about. So I'm sure it was an insult here, an insult there, and it's like, hey, you know what? It's so good, my guy. So I don't know what is the best way forward here for Mo Salah and for the club. Maybe I can throw it at you, Mangoro.
Simple. I'd say put him in the stands next game because if you put him on the bench, there's going to be more media scrutiny on it. There'll be more cameras panning to him and you, the manager, should Liverpool concede against Brighton or should something go wrong. Or that's what they do. And then he goes to AFCON, and then when he comes back from AFCON, you strike a deal with Saudi teams and he moves up to Saudi, and it's one less problem you have to deal with. You now have a cash influx, can go sign Semenyo because I know you want Semenyo. So that's what they can do. Because I don't reintegrating him back into the team, I just don't see it at this point because I feel like too many bridges have been burned, have been burnt, and like there's nothing that can be done at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, you know, connecting with the teammates, I don't think is going to be too hard because Mo Salah knows those teammates. Like he's been with them, most of them for a while now. Like the core group, if you think of them, you know, is Van Dijk, Allison, I guess McAllister's in there now, and you know, just like the core senior guys that Slot's going to rely on. Salah probably has a close relationship with all of them, so that should be fine. The issue is Slot and Salah, and I feel like the only way you fix that is from up above. Um, and here comes the problem, which is the people up above, do they want Mo Salah at the club? That's the question. Because I don't think this stuff with Slot can't be solved, because people, not everyone who works together likes each other. Like, you only have to look at Real Madrid even right now. Half the Real Madrid team hates the coach. They didn't like the last coach either. They just tolerated him. Like, it happens. People tolerate each other and they find common ground because they want to win. If someone from up above can sit them down and say, hey, we're sorry for this, you have to be sorry for that, let's find something, I think it could work. But I just worry because I did see a shift, upstairs from Liverpool this summer. The Saudi deals they made, they had some, Liverpool's ownership group had some dealings with the Saudi investment fund. They spoke very publicly about wanting to become like, a Galactico type club and sign superstars. That's a strong departure from what they were before, because I'm sure you guys will remember this, a famous Jurgen Klopp quote, I chase relationships, not trophies. That is not what it is right now. They're chasing stars. They're chasing, the flash, the hype. That's what it seems like they're all about. And if that's what you're about, and that's what your directors are about, I don't think they're going to care to like sit these guys down and work it out. They're just going to look for the easiest, quick option, which is sell Mo Salah, bench him, get rid of him, hide him from cameras like Mongoro was saying. So, yeah, might be in the stands.
It'll be interesting because Brighton has also been Liverpool's boogeyman in the last few seasons. It was Brighton who handed them a what was it, like a 5-1, 6-1 game last season? I remember it was something like that. Brighton always like kills Liverpool a lot. So we might see another thrashing. And if Salah's not, as Mangora is saying, it's probably going to be in the squad. If he's in the stands, just to, I guess, punish him for making these public statements, which they probably will do. It's going to be very interesting. But you know what? Like, I know at the end of the last season, we said, Mo Salah, the best thing for you right now was probably just to go. Like, we said the same thing about Bruno Fernandes. We said the same thing about all of these guys. Like, yo, man, Kevin De Bruyne did the right thing. Is like, yo, my time's up. I'm going to head out. Salah should have done the exact same thing. We said he should go to Saudi. Like, this is your time, my guy. Go out on a high. You've won the Prem. It's go to Saudi. Enjoy your life. And now, a few months down the line, all this wahala is happening. So I don't know. The thing that is probably going to happen for Liverpool, which I cannot wait to see, is that they do sell Salah to Saudi in January. They put all that money in Semenyo. Now their budget is spend over like 800 million on a player or whatever it is going to be. And they still don't slap. They still don't bang. Because they still have Konate and Van Dijk back there. Unless they can convince Mark Gay as well to come in January. And then they bring in Semenyo. Then maybe things get a little better. Because, yeah, there's a bit more structure and stability. And, Konate is not struggling anymore. All these things. So that could be the case. But I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But I'm all for it. I'm all for this Liverpool implosion. I love it. It's been fantastic. It's been great. They're not doing well on the table. They're having this infighting. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So we'll just have to see how it goes down. Anyway, over to you, Carragher. Let's hear what you got to say about the situation. We'll be here, and we can't wait to talk about what you say next. Any final thoughts about the situation, lads?
Long may it continue. I think they deserve some turmoil. I think all clubs at some point need to experience some turmoil, and then we see how they come out on the other side.
I'm just going to say, I think Liverpool fans are in for a long 2 to 3 years, because I don't think this ends with Mo Salah leaving. I think Mo Salah leaves because players talk, players have close relationships, players are always going to listen to each other before they listen to what the club is saying. Because they all have contracts, and those contracts are all running out soon. So Van Dijk, Alisson, Szoboszlai, my question to the board of Liverpool is, how well do you know your players? How well do you know that dressing room? Because are you sure you get rid of Salah and everything's back to normal? Are you sure? That's all I'll ask, because I'm not so sure. I think you sell Mo Salah, you put him in the stands, you embarrass him, as good as he's been. I think other players look at Mo Salah and look at his resume, and they think, if they can do that to him, what can they do to me? Because it's already started to happen to some players. Szoboszlai has played every position except keeper this year. So TikTok, man. TikTok.
TikTok, indeed. I mean, unless if the message is, if we put Salah in the stands, other players, it might make them not want to speak to the media about things. I don't know if it's a scare tactic, and they're gonna use Salah as an example that you're not bigger than the program.
Brother, this is a very talkative team. We're forgetting Van Dijk and his comments a few weeks ago. We're forgetting what's the other one? Who else spoke? Someone else spoke. But this is a team of talkers. They love to talk. They love a good conversation. So I'm not sure this is going to discourage them too much. They'll find the way to a mic.
We'll just have to see, man. Anyway, thank you so much, listener, for hanging out with the Forest Brothers. We'll keep you updated as well, about this Mo Salah situation. It's sad to see one of our African brothers go through all these things, but at the end of the day, he did choose to play for the enemy, so can't be too mad about it. Anyway, with all that, we'll catch you on the next one, listener. Peace out.